Hi, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Emily, author of the XERUS Galaxy Saga, and today we're going to talk about something that I've actually done a whole Substack post on, but I wanted to distill it here on the channel for you guys, and that is finding success in a saturated book market. Let's go talk about it. First of all, I wanted to say I'm sorry that it's taken me a couple of weeks to get up a new video. I've actually been going through a bit of a difficult time. We had to put down one of my sweet dogs. He was my very first dog. His name was Bounce, and he was just the sweetest pup ever, but he unfortunately had cancer. So I've been dealing with that, and then I've also was sick for a little bit. So you know what? Life comes before anything else, and so just spending time with my dog, with my family, was really important to me. So as I talked about, I actually channel a lot of my grief into writing, and I just felt this overwhelming urge to write this Substack post. And it's pretty long, so this video won't be as long as the post is. The post will have more in-depth details, but I thought I would bring it here to YouTube because there's ways that I can express myself a little better than sometimes through writing. They're just two different mediums, so I thought I would bring it to you guys here. And the very first point that I want to make is thinking about books and reality. And basically what that means is the reality is that we just live in a world where the book market is extremely saturated. Whatever category you're in pretty much has a level of saturation that you're going to see on Amazon or on any other, larger area. Maybe that's Barnes & Noble, maybe that's in even your local indie bookstore. I know for ours locally, they are kind of saturated with a lot of independent authors in the local area. And so they have to pick and choose who they can allow into their store because you only have so much shelf space. The same thing is true in a sense for Amazon and online book markets. If you're not at the top when you are, when a reader is searching for a book to read, you may not have a chance at that point. So the fact is that a lot of the times your very first book or your very first trilogy could be a bit of white noise or could kind of fall flat. And really what made me write this post and what made me talk about this thing is that I have seen a lot of friends or acquaintances on Instagram or other social media platforms that have put out maybe one book, maybe two, at the very most a trilogy, and they bemoan the fact that they have not seen rapid success. And that's regardless of whether you're traditionally published or independently published. And I feel this overwhelming urge to remind them that they're just getting started. In a saturated market like this, one book now, yes, you can have a one-off that hits massively big on the New York Times list. I totally believe that can happen. But the majority of what we're seeing is that you put a book out to whatever audience is in existence at that time, and they read it and they enjoy it, but you are limited to that very first aspect of your audience. And then as you move on to produce the next book and the next, your audience grows, but you can't expect the audience size that you might have at the release of your 8th book to be the same as it would be for your first book. So basically, you're starting from the ground up when you publish a book. And understanding that in today's market is crucial. And that brings me to my second point, which is the reality of your fans and your readers. You're going to capture them with each new work that you release. So starting with a book 1, you're hopefully going to capture quite a bit of readers with that first book. And those are the people who have been following you on social media. Maybe they read your Substack, maybe they follow your YouTube, whatever that looks like, that you have started to cultivate that group of readers. They're going to come in and support that. Now, what happens at that point is a tipping point, in a sense, with that first book. That first book can ensure you a lot of readers if you've done it well, and if you've really researched your niche and you know what you're writing, and you know that you've captured the tropes that people are interested in, but you've done it with your own spin, all of that can ensure you a very loyal group of readers that will then go on to your next book and your next book and your next book. But what could happen is that some of those readers may not feel that they got what they wanted out of the way that you pitched your book, or maybe they just didn't connect with the writing or whatever that might look like. And they might be like on that tipping point of, well, I didn't maybe love this as much as I wanted to, but I'll try the next book. Or they might be like, nope, I'm not your reader, and they move on. We let them go. We don't need them, right? We just need the people who love our books. So what we do is we capture them with that first book, but then we really seal the deal with them when we release the next book and then the next book, and we stay consistent and we deliver on the promises that we've made as a writer. You want and need that, especially as an independent author, but also true if you're traditionally published, because that fan base is what is going to sustain your books until it grows and grows and grows to create more of a rabid fan base in a sense. What can go wrong there is if you take too long between releases without explaining that to your readers, if you don't deliver on the promises that you've made with regards to tropes maybe, or how you handle the ending or cliffhangers or whatever. There are a lot of little things that can obviously turn a reader off, and sometimes that again just means they're not your reader, but sometimes it can also mean that you have either inaccurately portrayed your book to your readers, or you didn't do your due diligence with your editing or whatever. I'm not here to judge any of those things. That is between you and your book and then your readers, of course. But we have to focus in on that as authors within a saturated market, because ensuring that those readers will stay with us for the long haul and then bring along their friends because they've enjoyed the ride themselves is really key. The third thing to consider is the numbers. And I say this in the post, I am not a numbers person, so I'm not going to be giving you specifics here, at least with regards to what this all looks like. But there is one set of numbers that I will offer, and this comes from the group 20 Books to 50K, which is on Facebook. It's part of like Author Nation now, I think is what they call it. But the crucial number there is that most indie authors won't see success until they've published between 6 and 8 books. And success in this case being enough money to sustain their career. Now, maybe not, as much money as we would like, but seeing enough money in order to be able to consistently write and publish books. 6 to 8 books, that's a lot. That could be several standalones in a series, that could be several series together, whatever that looks like. It shows you that there is a depth to an author's career that then ensures a more stable career. And it also means that it is your backlist that is really going to sustain you as an author. So creating that backlist is really important. And in addition to that, it also means that with each new release, you're drawing in more people. And hopefully you're connecting with those people at maybe book 5, and they go back to the very beginning and read everything else that you have written. And those are the readers that we want. They latch on and they're so happy that they found a new to them author. And then they're even more happy to find out that there's a backlist that they can read through. So then this takes us to number 5, which is planning as an author. We can take into account all of these things. So the reality that the market is saturated, the fact that we need fans and readers in order to survive, the fact that the number of books that we have out really does affect us as writers. And then fourthly, we need to think about, okay, if this is all true, which I believe that it is, we have to have a plan in order to attack those things. So the first part of that plan to me is knowing the market. Now, this doesn't mean that you write books specifically to the market. You can do that, absolutely. There are a lot of writers who do that. But this mainly means that you understand the market and where it's going and what its trajectory is. So for me, as an example, I have seen that the cozy fantasy market is expanding. It might be at a point where it's almost oversaturated, but I don't think we're quite there yet. And that's something that captures my attention. And so I want to step into that space. I'm doing it as a reader already, and I really love the cozy market, but also as a writer with my next project. Now, I might be writing just at the crest of that wave, maybe a little bit past it. I'm not sure. It just depends on when the book comes out and what the market is feeling for that. But I think the other crucial part of it is the fact that I have a desire to write in that market as well. So to me, knowing the market, but then also knowing myself as a writer and what I might be interested in go together. I don't just pick up a trend and think, well, this is going to be big, so I might as well just write it. I also have to have a passion and a desire to write in that market as well. And then the other aspect of all of those things, which those being the foundation, the landing part would be, is there a reader for it? And are those people my readers? I personally believe that yes, my readers will follow me into the cozy market because there's going to be romance involved with it as well. And so it kind of combines a lot of things that I already do. I already write in a space that is, no spice, and I know my readers want that. But then also I know that they also enjoy a lot of fantasy stories, even though I write science fantasy. So there's a bit of a crossover there that I'm going to hopefully capitalize on. So then the fifth part comes down to, I think, the most crucial aspect of it, and that is the so what? Like, what does this matter? Why am I making this video? To me, the whole reason why I initially wrote this post on Substack and why I wanted to bring this to you here is that I wanted to encourage you, writer. Now, you might be at book number 20, you might be at book number 0, and you're working on your first book. I don't know where you're at, but I wanted to give you some encouragement, and I wanted to give you some, like a charge basically, and that is to write the next book. Now, this is something that I've said on my podcast so many times. I've said it on my Instagram page as well. So people are going to get sick of me saying this, but it's very easy to put out your first book and not see the success that you want, and then automatically feel like you're a failure, or like your idea wasn't right, or something went wrong. And the reality is that you are just beginning. You cannot put the pressure of an author who's had a very long career on the shoulders of an author who's just begun. And you can't expect to see the same results. I think most of the time, the reality that you've even gotten a book out in the first place is something to be celebrated, because there's a very small margin of people who actually get to that point. But then on the flip side of that is also understanding that your author career is going to be long and wide, hopefully. And it means that you're going to persevere through the market changes, that you're going to hopefully work to rise towards the top in a white noise saturated market. And it also means that you're going to consistently put out the same quality of books so that your readers can follow you through each story no matter where you go. Oftentimes I hear so much of people wanting to be, 5 steps ahead when they're just at the beginning. And I think what's crucial to understand is that you are building a foundation of your writer career. You are starting at the beginning, not in the middle. You're definitely not starting at the end. So don't expect to feel like you would as someone who spent 20 years putting out books. I think it's very easy in today's social media saturated world to look around and easily see this person or that person succeeding because they put out like the last of their trilogy and it just blew up. That's great, but that may not be your story, and that doesn't mean that it can't be later on. So consider what it is that you're writing. Go back to that number 4 step and make out your plan. This is true for your traditional published authors as well as independently published authors. You need to know where you're heading, and you need to think around your audience and your existing readers, what they will sustain and hold, but then also how that will expand your readership. For me, as I said before, I'm thinking of it very logistically. In a sense, I will have completed my first trilogy. My first book has passed the 1,000 books sold mark, which is awesome, but that's just a drop in the bucket. Most books sell about 3,000 books, and that's like pretty typical. And I'm not even close to that yet. So seeing that as like my first trilogy being completed is great, but that's just my very first stepping stone in that foundation of my writer career. So my next book is going to be something that is in a different space in order to capture new readers and bring them back into my existing space. But at the same time, while I'm doing that, I'm also going to be working on a serialized piece of fiction that will be more in that spacey realm because that's where I'm happiest. And I'm thinking ahead like 3 or 4 or 5 steps where I will know what I'm going to write next. And those things will shift if the market shifts and, as I come to the point of actually writing them. And there's other projects that I can't even mention because they're, unreleased yet. But all of those different aspects come back to me building out a author list in a sense that is full and that will hopefully capture different readers, but that will also still align with what I enjoy writing, because those type of books are going to be the ones that I write the fastest and that I think come out the best. So To me, success in a saturated book market looks like perseverance. And that's easy to say, much less easy to actually put into action. But I really hope that you'll consider these different aspects to what a successful career looks like. That you'll understand that the market is saturated, but yet, one book is white noise, but yet 6 to 8 books start to show that you're not just a flash in the pan, right? You're growing your author brand, basically. And then along with that brand that's growing, you're also incorporating new readers. And then those new readers are helping you get more and more numbers. So they're helping your books rise to the top of the algorithm. They're sharing with their friends. They're making reviews, all of those different things. And then as you're doing those things, you're also planning your steps ahead in order to know what you're going to be writing next. So I know it sounds easy. And I know that it can actually be really challenging to do that in the midst of it, because maybe you're at book like 4 and you're not seeing the success that you want yet. Again, it's not going to be a magical number. If you hit that book 6 or whatever, you're not just going to explode into, oh, I'm successful now. Or you could, I don't know. But I want to encourage you to keep writing, to write the next book. If maybe that one genre isn't doing well for you, consider writing another genre that you're interested in or that seems a little bit more popular. It might be that you have to write in a couple of different genres in order to find a good balance between what you enjoy writing and what the market really wants, and then find a balance there. Whatever it is that you decide to do, let me know in the comments below. I want to hear how you guys approach your definition of success as an author, because I think it can be easy to say, well, success means I sell 1 million books. That's great. But what does success actually look like to you? Does it look like being able to consistently put out a book a year? Does it look like, oh, I've got fans who are making fan art of my book? Does it look like, I don't know, a certain sales number to you? What does that look like? Because I do think that we all have to decide what success looks like to us so that we kind of know what we're working towards, but also we'll know when we maybe gotten to a certain point where we're like, oh, I can see that I am now successful, but I want to be successful in a different way, and you have to adjust that definition. Thank you so much for taking time to come back to the channel. I know this video is a little different than what I normally do, but sometimes I just feel really passionate about things, and to me, to share them with you guys is what really matters to me. If you want to go more in depth about this topic, definitely check out my article on Substack. I think that it probably gives a bit more of an understandable definition, but this is hopefully my more conversational aspect to kind of talk it through with you guys. And if you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll do my best to reply to them, or if needed, I'll make another video. And if you haven't yet, would you consider liking and subscribing to the channel? This is something that I do because I really enjoy it, and I really want to get the word out about writing and what it looks like to be a writer in a realistic way, not just in a kind of like, oh, this sounds great to be a writer, but like what it actually takes to be a published author, traditional or independent, and what goes into a lot of the behind the scenes. And that's what I love to talk about here. Until next time, go and write boldly.